Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree, and this is Horror Trans. I am a transgender woman, and I talk about all things horror. And today's horror icon is Bruce Campbell. I'm not going to do like I did with the last two, where I did Linnea Quigley, and I don't remember who was the last one I did. Um, I think it was Tom Savini, actually, where I just read their Wikipedia. Now, I do reference the Wikipedia articles just so I have something to look at to refresh my memory. But Bruce Campbell is a certified B movie legend. So he is a horror icon through and through. Now, he's primarily serves as actor in a considerably large number of movies, starting in 1977, most famously getting his breakout role in 1981 doing The Evil Dead, where he played Ash Williams. He has played this character, Ashley Williams, um, beginning in 81, all the way through just to a couple of years ago, where he was on the Ash versus the Evil Dead television series. So he was also Ash in Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, as well as Army of Darkness. And he had a very brief post credits or mid credits cameo in the 2013 Evil Dead. I'm just going to say reboot or remake, whatever you want to call it. And his voice can be heard in Evil Dead Rise, so he is still actively involved in the production of the Evil Dead franchise. Now, just like Sam Raimi has dabbled outside of horror, famously, he did the Spider-Man movies for Columbia Pictures back in the day. Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man or Peter Parker. He has also dabbled outside of horror as well. Most notably, I would say, is Xena, Warrior Princess, or Hercules, the Legendary Journey. Legendary Journeys? So those are a few things you would recognize him from. Speaking of Spider-Man from 2002, he was actually in that movie in a cameo. He was the WWE, whatever, ring announcer that introduced Spider-Man, even though Peter Parker insisted his name was the Man Spider or whatever. So I'm just going to pick out some highlights of his filmography. We're going to ignore television for the most part because, he's most famous for Ash versus the Evil Dead. But just scrolling through, he is in Maniac Cop, which I have seen. And that's interesting because apparently he's a big part of that. And he was also in Bubba Hotep, which is a movie I absolutely highly recommend. Just scrolling through his discography, I am not seeing much I've heard of or would be able to identify him. And they say uncredited cameo in the notes, so that doesn't tell me anything about who he was in the film. So without going back and rewatching these particular films, I wouldn't be able to spot him and say, "Oh, there he is." So like I said, he's done a lot of movies. Like I've already said a couple of times, primarily as an actor, and he does a lot of bit parts and cameos. It does look like he has done some voice acting. Most recently, The Evil Dead Rise, where he was a priest. Does look like his TV credits do span 83 to last year. Looks like he was on Impractical Jokers. And I don't see when did... There's Ash vs. the Evil Dead, ended in 2018. And it looks like the rest of his appearances are just like as voices or guest spots, celebrity, like a lot of reality show. So he does a lot of reality TV appearances. He's not really as an actor all that much from what I'm seeing here. Like I said, outside of a handful of appearances on Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess. Um, I mean, the stuff you would expect somebody who was acting in the 90s to be in, The X Files. It looks like he was on an episode of Charmed, Robot Chicken, Psych. Oh, that's cool. I've seen Psych. But it doesn't look like he's done much of note, really. Just like bit parts or voices or cameos. He's done a host of video games starting in 1997. He's been in a handful of Spider-Man video games and a handful of Evil Dead video games. It looks like he was in a game called The Ant Bully. Mostly, obviously, as a voice actor. Beyond those, I'm not seeing anything I recognize. Looks like he was Ash Williams in a handful of Call of Duty games? Question mark. Ash versus Evil Dead DLC. Whatever. That's confusing the way it's categorized. And it looks like he's got quite a few awards. Now, the ones I want to talk about are Bubba Hotep and Ashley Williams. So let's start backwards, and we'll do Bubba Hotep first. So in Bubba Hotep, he plays, well, basically, God, I don't want to give it away. He basically plays an Elvis impersonator in an old folks' home who accidentally resurrects an ancient mummy and has to kill it. Now, he's more or less playing the same character as Ashley Williams, just as an old man. But he, as an Elvis impersonator instead of, hardware salesman. But it's basically the same character. And that's why I hesitate to say he's much of an actor, more well, bit parts. He does bit parts. He's not really known for his acting chops. He just makes appearances. But I don't know what you call someone who does that. Not necessarily a character actor, because they tend to be theatrically trained. And I don't think he is. The way he got into movies, just from what I could read, was being friends with Sam Raimi, and that's pretty much it. Sam Raimi wanted to make films. They were friends. He asked his friend to help out, and the rest is history. Excuse me. So let's talk about Ash Williams. As far as I can tell, they only refer to him as Ashley in the first Evil Dead. But since that movie was retconned away in Evil Dead 2, which itself was retconned away in Army of Darkness, I guess you could just call him Ash, as what most people do, and ignore them calling him Ashley. Now, the only reason why I bring that up is because I'm a transgender person, and it is perfectly okay for a cisgender, heterosexual, male-identifying person to be named Ashley. But I don't know if the filmmakers named him that as a joke, or if that was a more common name for males back in the day. I'm not sure. So I just wanted to point that out, just because he was only called Ashley in the first movie and not consistently. You could tell that his friends knew him as Ashley, but referred to him as Ash as sort of a nickname. So, again, Bruce Campbell plays the character at first very serious, very straight laced in the first movie, but with a lot of physical comedy and over the top acting. Now, by the time he gets to Evil Dead 2, he has more or less thrown the script out the window. Excuse me, thrown the script out the window, and he's just making shit up as he goes. I don't know if he has improved any of his lines, but a lot of the dialogue that comes out of the character's mouth sounds like improv kind of dialogue. So either Sam Raimi fucking sucks at writing dialogue, or whoever wrote those films, I should say, or Bruce Campbell sucks at improv. So either way, his dialogue sucks. But I digress. I will admit, I have never seen any episode of Hercules or Xena. So if you recognize him from those, you might be confused why I refer to him as a horror icon. Because if you look at the rest of his filmography, especially his filmography, it's a lot of B movies. Mostly horror, but I would say some you could classify as like sci-fi horror, maybe. But not anything like notable, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Troll 2, Leprechaun, or any of the big name B movie franchises, other than Maniac Cop, which is sort of like a C tier B movie franchise. Not that they're bad movies, but we'll talk about them. Just that those are definitely C tier. They're not D tier. That's Trauma. Trauma are your D tier B movies. And it gets worse from there. There are F tier B movies. Abso-fucking-lutely. Just, I'll say it. Sharknado is an example of an F tier B movie. But I'm getting off track here. So Bruce Campbell is a horror icon mostly because he played Ash Williams in a shit fuck ton of Evil Dead stuff. Movies, TV shows, video games. His likeness was used in the comic books. I have an action figure of Ash Williams. I've showed it on my other channel, my Breeze Toys channel. In fact, I got the box right here. Proof. Yeah. So, definitely a certified horror icon.